You were never created to shrink. You were never meant to fade into the background of your own life. Yet slowly, quietly, many people begin to disappear, not physically, but internally. They silence their voice, suppress their calling, and reduce their expectations just to survive. Today is a call to stop doing that. Disappearing does not happen overnight. It happens in small compromises. When you stop speaking because it feels easier to stay quiet, when you lower your standards to avoid conflict, when you delay your purpose because fear feels safer than faith. Over time, these small decisions erode confidence, clarity, and courage. You begin to live reactively instead of intentionally. You adjust yourself to fit spaces that were never designed to hold you. You accept less, not because you deserve less, but because you forgot who you are. Power is not something you gain from others. It is something you reclaim within yourself. The moment you stop waiting for permission is the moment your strength begins to return. You do not need approval to be obedient to your purpose. You do not need validation to walk in conviction. Fear often disguises itself as humility. Silence disguises itself as patience. But there is a difference between waiting with wisdom and hiding from responsibility. When you consistently hold back what you are called to release, you are not being humble. You are being disconnected from your assignment. You were given a voice for a reason, not to overpower others, but to express truth, not to dominate, but to stand firmly. When you silence your voice, you also silence your influence. And influence is not about popularity, it is about impact. You have been shrinking yourself without realizing it, not because you lack ability, vision, or potential, but because you learned, slowly, subtly, to become smaller in order to survive, fit in, or avoid conflict. This did not happen overnight. It happened through repeated moments where your voice was ignored, your intentions misunderstood, or your effort unrecognized. Over time, you adjusted. You spoke less. You expected less. You settled for less. And what once felt like humility quietly became self-erasure. Disappearing yourself often begins as protection. You learn that being quiet feels safer than being honest. You learn that lowering expectations hurts less than hoping. You learn that staying in the background avoids disappointment. These coping mechanisms feel wise in the moment, but they come at a cost. They disconnect you from who you were meant to be. Power is not always taken from you. Sometimes it is handed away slowly through self-neglect. The danger is not that others overlook you. It is that you begin to overlook yourself. You stop acknowledging your own needs. You silence your own convictions. You doubt your instincts even when they are right. This internal dismissal is far more damaging than external rejection. When you stop trusting your own voice, you become dependent on validation to feel real. And when validation is absent, you feel invisible. Fear plays a central role in self-disappearance. Fear of failure, fear of being judged, fear of standing alone. Fear convinces you that restraint equals wisdom, but wisdom without courage becomes limitation. Avoiding risk may feel responsible, but it often prevents growth. Power is not developed in comfort. It is discovered in responsibility and action. There is also the weight of comparison. Watching others move faster, speak louder, or receive recognition can make you question your worth. Comparison distorts perception. It convinces you that timing equals value and visibility equals importance. When you measure yourself against others, you lose sight of your own calling. Power fades when identity becomes borrowed instead of owned. Disappearing yourself can look like constant compromise. You adjust your standards to keep peace. You accept behavior that drains you. You tolerate situations that contradict your values. Each compromise feels small, but collectively they erode self. Power is not something you suddenly gain. It is something you slowly reclaim. And one of the greatest reasons people lose their power is not because it was taken from them, but because they gave it away through comfort-seeking, inconsistency, and fear of discipline. The second key truth is this: power is built through discipline and consistency, not emotion or motivation. Many people wait to feel ready before they act. They wait for confidence before they speak, motivation before they start, and certainty before they commit. But power does not respond to feelings. Feelings change daily. Power responds to decisions repeated over time. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you retrieve a piece of yourself that was lost. Discipline is often misunderstood. It is not punishment, it is protection. It protects your future from the version of you that wants ease over growth. When discipline is absent, inconsistency takes over, and inconsistency slowly erases identity. You start strong, then disappear. You make promises, then break them. Over time, you stop trusting yourself. That loss of self-trust is where power fades. Consistency rebuilds that trust. When you show up even when it's uncomfortable, even when no one is watching, even when results are slow, something changes internally. You begin to believe in yourself again. That belief is power, not loud power, quiet power, the kind that doesn't announce itself but cannot be shaken. Disappearing often begins when effort becomes inconvenient, when progress requires patience, when growth demands sacrifice. Many people quit not because the goal is wrong, but because discipline exposes resistance within them. Discipline confronts excuses. It removes the option of delay, and that confrontation feels uncomfortable. So instead of facing it, people retreat. They disappear. But every time you choose consistency, you interrupt that pattern. You prove to yourself that discomfort does not control you. You stop negotiating with weakness. Power returns the moment you stop arguing with responsibility and start honoring commitment. Consistency does not require perfection. It requires return. Returning after failure, returning after doubt, returning after distraction. Each return strengthens identity. Each return says, I am not defined by moments of weakness, but by my... Taking back your power requires a deliberate decision to stop shrinking yourself for the comfort of others or the fear of failure. Many people disappear slowly, not because they lack ability or calling, but because they have learned to silence their own voice. They stop expressing conviction, stop pursuing what stirs their spirit, and stop believing that their presence matters. This withdrawal often feels safer than standing fully visible, but safety comes at the cost of purpose. Power is not something you receive later. It is something you reclaim now. Every time you ignore your intuition, compromise your values, or delay obedience to what you know is right, a piece of your authority is surrendered. This does not happen all at once. It happens in small decisions, choosing silence over truth, comfort over growth, approval over alignment. Over time, these choices create distance between who you are and who you were meant to be. Reclaiming power begins with ownership. Ownership of thoughts, reactions, and direction. No one can take your power without your permission, but many give it away unknowingly. They allow fear to dictate decisions. They allow past mistakes to define identity. They allow external opinions to outweigh inner conviction. Power returns when responsibility is accepted without excuse. There is strength in acknowledging where power was lost, not to dwell in regret, but to restore clarity. Awareness is the first step toward restoration. Once you recognize patterns of self-sabotage, avoidance, or people-pleasing, you can interrupt them. Power grows when intention replaces autopilot. Taking back your power also means setting boundaries. Boundaries are not rejection, they are protection. Without boundaries, energy is drained, focus is scattered, and identity becomes blurred. Boundaries clarify what you will carry and what you will release. They define where responsibility ends and where trust begins. Healthy boundaries create space for growth. Power is reinforced through consistency. Confidence does not come from grand declarations. It comes from repeated action aligned with truth. Each time you keep a promise to yourself, strength increases. Each time you act despite fear, authority expands. Discipline becomes evidence of self-respect. Over time, consistency rebuilds trust within. Reclaiming power often requires releasing false identities. Many people live under labels formed by past failure, criticism, or comparison. These labels limit expectation and suppress potential. Power is reclaimed when identity is redefined. You are not your worst moment. You are not your delay. You are not your fear. You are the one who can choose again. Silence has its place, but disappearance does not. There is a difference between preparation and avoidance. Preparation builds capacity. Avoidance drains courage. Taking back your power means recognizing when waiting has turned into hiding. Growth requires visibility. Purpose requires participation. Power also grows through alignment with values. When actions contradict beliefs, internal conflict weakens resolve. Alignment strengthens authority. It brings clarity, peace, and direction. Living in alignment does not eliminate challenge, but it reduces confusion. Decisions become simpler when values are clear. Reclaiming power means redefining failure. Failure is not loss of power. Quitting is. Failure offers information, not condemnation. Each setback contains insight that strengthens future effort. Power grows when failure is viewed as feedback rather than final judgment. There will be resistance when you stop disappearing. People may question change. Old patterns may attempt to return. Fear may resurface. These moments test commitment. Power is not proven when it is easy. It is proven when it is challenged. Taking back your power does not mean becoming louder or more aggressive. It means becoming grounded. Calm confidence carries more authority than forced control. Power expressed through integrity, clarity, and consistency endures. As power is reclaimed, presence returns. Voice strengthens, vision sharpens. You begin to show up fully, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Life stops happening to you and begins moving through you. Decisions feel intentional. Direction feels purposeful. You do not need permission to step forward. You do not need validation to act. Power was always available. It was simply unattended. When you choose to stop disappearing, you choose to live awake, engaged, and responsible for your direction. Taking back your power is not a single moment. It is a daily decision, a decision to show up, to speak honestly, to act courageously, to live aligned. Each day you choose presence over absence. Power grows stronger and purpose becomes clearer. The moment you stop shrinking, hiding, and silencing yourself is the moment your life begins to realign with purpose. You were never created to disappear, to live beneath your potential, or to wait for permission to become who you were meant to be. Power was not lost, it was neglected. When you reclaim responsibility for your thoughts, your discipline, and your identity, strength returns. When you stop measuring yourself by fear, approval, or past failure, clarity replaces confusion. Taking back your power is not about becoming louder or harder. It is about becoming intentional, grounded, and fully present. As you stand in truth, commit to growth, and act with courage, life begins to respond. This is not the end of struggle, but the beginning of authority over your direction, your choices, and your future.